Hey everyone, welcome. If you're a developer who really loves to build, but you want to make sure that the stuff you build actually matters, then you are in exactly the right place. In this explainer, which is part of our bigger course on UX design for developers, we are going to bridge that gap between just writing clean code and creating real, powerful impact. All right, let's get into it.
Oh, you know this feeling, right? You spend weeks, maybe even months, building out a feature. The code is just perfect, all the tests pass, your PR gets merged, and then nothing. Crickets. You look at the usage metrics, and they're totally flat. It feels like nobody even noticed. It's honestly one of the most frustrating feelings as a developer. And today, we're going to figure out how to stop that from ever happening again.
So first things first, let's put a name to the problem we're all facing. It is a super common trap, and I mean even the most brilliant engineering teams fall right into it.
It's called the build trap, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when we get so focused on our velocity, on shipping features, on closing tickets, that we completely forget to stop and ask, hey, are we even building the right thing? And what happens is we end up with this beautifully engineered piece of software that doesn't actually solve a real problem for anyone. It's just a fast track to wasted time and a product that's dead in the water.
Okay, so how do we escape the build trap? Well, here's the really good news. It doesn't require some massive, new, complicated process. You don't need to go ask for permission. It all starts with a really simple but incredibly powerful shift in how we approach our work.
The core idea here is something called conscious interference. Now, I know what you're thinking. Interference sounds kind of bad, right? Like you're getting in the way or slowing things down. But in this context, it's a superpower. It means you are consciously, deliberately hitting the pause button on that endless feature factory treadmill, and you're just taking a moment to look up and understand what is really going on with your users.
And I love this analogy because it's perfect for us developers. Think about it. You would never, ever ship code without running it through a debugger to find the bugs, would you? Of course not. So think of conscious interference as a debugger for value. Before you sink all that time and energy into writing the code, you run the idea through this process to find the bugs in the user experience first.
Okay, so that's the what and the why. But you're probably asking, what about the how? How do I actually do this? Well, let's walk through a simple, super practical framework you can start using on your very next ticket.
It all boils down to these 5 steps. We've got observation, analysis, empathy, experimentation, and measurement. So let's break down what each of these actually means for you as a developer day to day.
Everything kicks off right here with pure, simple observation. The goal at this stage is just to watch and to listen. No opinions, no jumping to solutions yet. You're just a detective, gathering clues from the crime scene. And listen, this does not have to be a huge time suck. We're talking small, easy actions. Watch 10 minutes of session replays in a tool like Full Story. Go read the last 5 support tickets that came in about the area you're working on. Ask your product manager, hey, can I see the notes from those user interviews you did? You will be absolutely amazed at the insights you can pull from just a few minutes of this.
So, once you've gathered all those clues, it's time to put on your analyst hat. This is where you start connecting the dots. You're trying to find the why that's hiding behind the what you just saw.
The key here is to look for patterns. Are tons of users clicking on something that isn't actually a link? Where in the sign-up flow are they all getting stuck and just giving up? See, you're basically debugging the user journey, using the exact same logic you'd use to debug your code. You're not just patching a symptom, you are hunting for the root cause. This is a skill you already have.
Okay, step 3 is empathy. And I know, sometimes this can sound like a really soft, fluffy skill, but in this framework, it's a critical, tactical tool. It's about taking your analysis and translating it into a real, deep understanding of what your user is thinking, feeling, and trying to do. Just imagine a user sitting at their desk thinking this exact thought. When you can actually articulate their frustration in their own words, you're not just solving a technical problem anymore, you're solving a human problem. You now understand their mental model is broken, that they expect it to work differently, and that is such a powerful insight for building the right fix.
So now that you have a crystal clear picture of the problem, you can start thinking about solutions. But instead of just jumping on the first idea that pops into your head, you experiment. This whole step is about de-risking your development time. So what does that look like in the real world? Well, you could suggest a simple A/B test in sprint planning. Maybe use a feature flag to show a new UI to just 5% of users. You could whip up a quick prototype in Figma, or heck, even just sketch an idea on a whiteboard to get feedback. The key is to test your big assumptions with the lowest amount of effort possible. Getting feedback before you open that PR is the secret to avoiding the build trap.
And finally, we have the step that closes the entire loop. After you've built and shipped your amazing solution, you have to measure its impact. This is how you prove that your conscious interference was actually a good thing. So did that button you moved actually get more clicks? Did simplifying that form reduce the number of people who gave up? You check the data, you see what happened, and then, and this is the most important part, you use that new knowledge to make your next sprint even smarter. This is how you create this amazing, virtuous cycle of constant improvement. So when you put all this together, what does it really change in your day-to-day? What's the actual difference between a developer who just writes code and a developer who thinks like a designer?
Well, take a look at this. It's so simple when you see it side by side. The task-focused developer gets a ticket, writes the code, merges the PR. Simple. But the user-focused developer gets that same ticket and just inserts two small but crucial steps right at the top. First, truly understand the problem. Second, explore a few solutions. It's not about doing more work, it's about doing the right work up front.
And the payoff for this little shift is massive. You build better products that people actually enjoy using. You and your team waste way less time building features that go nowhere. And honestly, your job becomes so much more satisfying because you can draw a straight line from the code you wrote to making someone's day just a little bit better. All right, so to wrap this up, I want to leave you with a challenge, a way you can put all of this into practice, not next quarter, not next month, but on the very next piece of code you write. The next time you pick up a ticket from the board, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, what's the core assumption behind this request? Is it that users need another drop-down menu? Is it that this new button will magically solve their problem? Find that assumption, and then ask, how could I spend just 15 minutes to interfere and test if that's actually true? That one little question is your first step. It's how you go from writing code to creating real, lasting impact. Give it a try. Thanks so much for watching.